Hello, hey everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hello to everybody in the chat and all the members there as well. So great to see you. We've got two fan action going on. We have dual menopause fans. I don't know why I wore a hoodie. These lights make me so hot, and it's actually finally getting a little bit warm around here. So now it's just hot, hot, hot. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to my mods this morning. Grace Kelly's here, Nancy's here, and we are ready to get into this. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about the Scientology news that has the internet buzzing, touch on my 35 years in the cult, leaving with 3 generations of my family, and throughout the week, I do interviews with people in the community, and I'm doing one today, finally getting back in the saddle. So when you hit that subscribe button, make sure you set that notification bell as well, so you hopefully get notifications when I go live. Everybody who's already here, I would love it if you would all go over there and just smash that like button for me, so we could just make it rain even more notifications. We're just giving them out like crazy now. Hey, Farrell Cheryl, good to see you there. All right, we got good stuff to get into today. One of my favorite things, or it's quickly becoming, well, it has been, let's be honest, Scientology celebrity gossip. I just cannot get enough of it. We're going to touch on that, the recent Bijou Phillips news of her leaving Scientology. Of course, we're going to talk about it. We are going to look at a couple clips from some protest action. There's been a lot happening in Chicago that we're going to talk about. There's some fun things that went down in LA. And we've got some news out of Clearwater, because guess what? The city of Clearwater, they're not having it. No, they're no longer hiding their frustration with Scientology over some things. And we're going to talk about that. So let's kick it off here with a little bit. I know you guys have been wondering. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about, hey, wonder how those Dianetics books are doing, given that the Dianetics, the anniversary of the release of Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, just happened, and Scientology had all their different events. And May 9th is the official anniversary. It's one of the Scientology holidays, if you will. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you something. But first, we're going to say Vintage Mama of 3. Thank you so much. She's making it rain some Scientology Life After a Cult memberships in the chat. Absolutely love that. Thank you so much for doing that. Boom, boom, boom. People in the chats get memberships. I love seeing it happen. Love seeing it happen. Okay, back to this whole Dianetics book thing. So when I asked that question, somebody sent this to me. It's from Powell's. Powell's, it's a bookstore. And look at this, y'all. This is a Dianetics book. It is in the discount bin. It was $6.99, but it is now $4.95. Now, I think at Scientology organizations, aren't they selling this book for like $45 or $60 or $70 or some craziness? Now, maybe that's like a hardcover copy, the larger edition, right? I don't know. What is this one? I don't think this says whether this one is a hardcover copy or not. But regardless, now it hasn't had a review since 2007, and just one. But that one person did give it 5 stars, and my money's on that. That is a Scientologist. But you never know. Maybe somebody else read it. Just wanted to share this to kind of answer that question yesterday of what is happening with those Dianetics books? A whole lot of nothing. That's what I think. Think about it. Recruitment for Scientology, especially where there's protests, is really being shut down. And we're going to get into that when we talk about Chicago. We're going to show you some things. You're going to see some things. Now, I shared with you my love of true crime and Scientology and how those worlds are colliding. And I love how multiple people afterwards sent me a link to, we shared a clip in the beginning of Sins of Scientology and their true crime about Scientology. And I thought this was really interesting. I kind of wanted to touch on it because some of you may not have heard the story told to Scientologists about what happened to Elron Hubbard when he died. And here's the thing. This is important to me because When I found out the truth about Elron Hubbard's passing, that solidified a lot for me in terms of my doubts about Scientology and Elron Hubbard. When I grew up in Scientology, I spent most of my life in Scientology. Leaving was difficult for multiple reasons. But one of the things that happened to me for a while after I left was you're just like, what if, the doubt? What if I did make a mistake? It's so ingrained in your head what will happen from Scientology's perspective to you if you leave, that it definitely makes you question. Well, when I started learning the truth about what really happened to Elron Hubbard when he passed, that shut it all down for me. I was like, okay, yeah, no, I made the right decision. This is just a whole bunch of lies. So we're going to look at a little clip. Natalie Scott, thank you so much for gifting 5 Scientology Life After a Cult memberships. Hip, hip, hooray. Thank you so much for that. I want to watch the chat and it'll turn green. I get so distracted by that, but I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Natalie. Okay, so back to this clip about Elron Hubbard. Some of you might know this, some of you might not know this, but listen to this.
Church of Scientology's explanation for Hubbard's departure from his physical body further added to the intrigue. According to the church, Hubbard had achieved a level of spiritual advancement that rendered his physical body unnecessary. The church stated that Hubbard had consciously chosen to drop his body to continue the research and spiritual exploration in a non-physical form.
So Scientologists, myself included, when Elron Hubbard discarded his body like a dirty dish rag, said that it was because it was impeding his progress, that he needed to further research those upper operating THETAN levels on the bridge to total freedom. And with a body, he just couldn't do that. What is happening with the hair today? This like random, well, this is what you get today. That he just discarded it because he couldn't do the upper level research that he needed to do, being held back by this body. I'm sure it was held back because he was on quite a few medications that Scientology never talked about, including some psychiatric ones from what I hear. That's the word on the street. So this was the line. This was what they told Scientologists.
This explanation aligns with Scientology's belief regarding the THETAN, the spiritual being, and its external nature independent of the physical body. However, this narrative was met with skepticism by those outside the church, particularly given the lack of tangible evidence to support such claims.
No kidding. And when I tell you that Scientology believed this, Scientologists believed and believe this, that is what happened. He causatively dropped the body. Not that, he had a stroke and all the other things that happened and was heavily medicated and confused. There's Google Elron Hubbard death Scientology, and you'll find some of the stories from people who were there. In fact, my sister, you guys know my sister Lana, she's been on the channel a couple of times. If you go back in my early videos, I did a couple interviews with Lana. Lana was trafficked into the Sea Organization from Hawaii when she was 14 years old, made her way into international management at the confidential base that no one knew about. Only Scientologists didn't know about. The whole world knew about it. There's a whole sign that was up for it, but we weren't allowed to know. And she came across documents that showed what was found in Elron Hubbard's medicine cabinet type of thing while she was there. She was sent to look for some files and she went into some storage area. I mean, they're just like out there loosey goosey. And, here's this teenager just like finding this. So it was even more confirmation for me when I finally had the conversation with my sister, just even further confirmed that for me, because I was already seeing the truth, hearing about it online when I was, starting my departure from Scientology, and definitely afterwards. So very fascinating. That Sins of Scientology, links down below to all the videos, all the clips that we are going to be talking about. Okay, let's talk about Elron Hubbard Way. So the blue buildings, Elron Hubbard Way is home to a couple of service organizations, as they're referred to in Scientology, where public Scientologists not just from the LA area, but from all over the world, really come to do Scientology training or Scientology auditing, right? These are two sides of the bridge to total freedom that they climb up of, get knocked back down, have to redo something, get knocked back down, have to pay for it, go back up, get knocked back down. It's like chutes and ladders. That's what that's like. They have to redo lots of things because there just aren't that many Scientologists left. And so you kind of got to, work the money angle and have them redo things and buy books that they already own by putting a little twist on it, some rebranding. This seems to be the tactic that Scientology is following. Now, there was a woman sitting outside the blue buildings, right? Minding her own business. And this is from Cuts E. This is from his live stream. He has a conversation with her that was very interesting. And I'm going to tell you why right after we look at this. I'll have the volume turned up as much as it will go. Hopefully you can hear the woman.
You're a Scientologist or you're not?
I don't even know you.
Oh, you
Present yourself first.
Oh, you work for Scientology, or who are you?
I said you should present yourself first.
Oh, okay.
I think does she sound German, right? Definitely from Europe. But she's saying, you should present yourself first. You should introduce yourself first. Fine. That would be good. I guess he could have said, hi, my name is Cutsy. I am a protester and I am going to film and talk to you about Scientology. Sounds like she might have preferred that, which that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. This is a call. You know that you're in there now. You were sitting down or what? Trying to help you, help you escape though. Call the SPTV. We'll help you get out of Scientology. Know what I'm saying though. We'll help you.
Find yourself. Okay.
Okay.
Find yourself.
We can help you.
Find out who are your friends.
Okay.
And who are your enemies.
She might be French, but did you hear what she said? It sounded like she said, find yourself. Find out who are your enemies and who are your friends. This is something in Scientology that Scientologists have to do when they get in trouble with Scientology. We've talked about these lower condition formulas, these steps that Scientologists have to do when they get in trouble. And one of them, it's like, find out that you are. That's literally it's one line. Find out that you are. And my ex-Scientology friends have to tell me, was that for treason? Was it for treason? Find out that you are? Real mental gymnastics too. I don't know what the right answer would be to that. But then she says, find out who your friends are and who your enemies are. That sounds like it's right out of the liability formula where you have to deliver an effective blow to the group one has been pretending to be a part of despite personal danger. Sometimes, sidebar here, come on in. Sometimes it amazes me. Maybe amaze is not the word. Sometimes I'm shocked by the Scientology lines that I can remember word for word, but I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast. I think it's because it's so repetitive, and that is part of it in Scientology. That's part of the mind control. Repetitive, and it just sticks. It's like song lyrics from the 80s. I know a ton of those too. But sometimes I'll look at someone I know and like, oh my God, I know you. What is the name? What is the name? What do I say? What do I say? I think that happens. Tell me if that happens to you guys too sometimes. I know I'm not the only one. And remember, if you're catching this on the replay, no slacking, jump into those comments. Tell me what you think. It does, right? It does. Okay. Scandinavian or German. I think so too. I thought she sounded a little bit French too. Amy was saying she might agree with that. So then listen to what else she says. Hold on a second. I'm going to just back this up a little bit because she gives him some parting words of wisdom, which is kind of an important part of what we're going to talk about.
Not. Can you stop this?
I have to put phone protection. Sorry, though. I have to phone protection. I can't take it off, though. Sorry.
Do not attack something which one day will help you.
We'll help you. SPTV will help you out.
So she says, do not attack something which one day might help you. And when I heard this reminded me of another belief that Scientologists have, and it's from the Code of Honor, I believe. My ex-Scientology friends, you can correct me if I get this wrong. The Code of Honor was written by Elron Hubbard. That's right, Sandy. Scientology's word salad is a challenge to unravel. Exactly. So when she says this, I think what she's saying is in the code of honor, Elron Hubbard said, it was this one I don't have verbatim, but it was never be afraid to hurt someone in a just cause. The whole idea is that don't be afraid to hurt somebody if you need to defend Scientology, because in a just cause, this only applies to Scientology, because you could apply that and go, well, code of honor, never be afraid to hurt somebody in a just cause. A just cause is protesting Scientology. But no, this applies to Scientology for Scientologists. And it sounds like that's what she's saying. It's almost, I had to watch this a few times because I'm like, is she kind of quoting like the conditions, the Scientology lower conditions and the Scientology code of honor? Is she kind of like, parroting that back as her response? And I think that she was, which really speaks to the level of mind control. Because what happens often when you're a Scientologist, and a very indoctrinated one, is you're given some information that conflicts or goes against what your beliefs are in and about Scientology, mainly it not being a cult. And that's when the training, the repetitive things that you've had to read over and over again, or you had to repeat. In the Sea organization, we would do what they called Chinese school, where you would repeat things back. So you would be there as a group after one of the many roll calls during the day to make sure no one took off, right? Where it's division 1, is everyone present and accounted for? It's like, no, Joe's not here. We will go find him. And so on and so on. It's all to just find out who left. Has anyone blown? Has anyone taken off? Is everybody still here? Very, very telling. And she did go walk into the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. And what this tells us too, is she's there for the upper level. So she's probably dealing with Xenu and body thetans. And you know what? Maybe her body thetans got a little twisted and they got a little upset. I don't know. Jesus is God. She was low-key threatening him. Exactly. That is exactly my point. In her Scientology way, it is the equivalent of somebody who, I don't know why this comes to mind, but like back in the day, whether it's witchcraft or something else, like putting a curse on you. I'm putting a curse on you. That totally was the vibe with what she was saying. I just found that exchange to be interesting. And I don't think that without explaining that or giving you that Scientology background, people would really understand how actually, because she looks like this, she's an older woman, right? She's not going to jump into a boxing ring anytime soon, but don't get it twisted. This lady, she has intention, Scientology intention, and she was letting him know. So I thought that was really interesting. What also I have found really interesting is what's been going on in Chicago. Let's talk about Windy City Thetan Watch. He's one of the live streamers and protesters out there in Chicago, and he's really made it a specialty to shut down Scientology recruitment. And he's done a great job of it, including catching the Scientology staff members, when they think nobody is looking. And this is what happened. Let's look at this. This I'm going to show you. This is disturbing on so many levels. This is in the back alley. You know what all these people are standing around doing? They're smoking. They're all in the back alley smoking. These are Scientology staff members. Take a look.
Anybody have any positive they want to talk about with the Church of Scientology? Remind my audience why it's a good idea, why we'd want to come in and see the Church of Scientology. Are we okay that women can't report sexual abuses if the member that commits it is a member of the church?
No comment. No comment.
Is child trafficking acceptable? So do we like that children have
Somebody suddenly got a phone call there. Got a phone call.
to listen to audits when the adults are talking the most perverse terms and telling them about sexual proclivities?
See how she put the cigarette out? This one over here. She put the cigarette out and then kicks it under this thing. Honey, that's not cleaning it up. As soon as that barrier is removed, you know what you're going to see? A bunch of cigarette butts. That is not cleaning it up. Why doesn't Scientology put ashtrays outside the building? right? If you're going to smoke, you know, a lot of these people smoke cigarettes because Elron Hubbard said that cigarettes don't give you cancer. It's not smoking enough that does that, right? You know, it's a big thing, but no, there's no ashtrays or anything out there. So what do? They go out there, they smoke, and they just put it on the ground. At least that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing there. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's 2024. And this speaks to the lack of education often when it comes to self-care within Scientology, because many of these people, especially the ones who grow up in Scientology, are encouraged to drop out of school, join staff, not further their education, not see a doctor on the regular, where you often would find out and get more information about smoking and your health. They don't do those things. They just believe what Elron Hubbard says. And that clip right there speaks volumes as well. Because again, multiple staff members out in the back smoking, no ashtray. So it's like, you know, your people do it. They're going to do it. Why can't you put one of those big ashtrays so they stop putting cigarette butts on the ground or kicking them over to the side? I've not seen one. Now, back in the day, it's another back in the day, please gather. Back in the day, when I went for training in Los Angeles, now maybe because it was the 80s, I was 15, there were cigarette ashtray stations all around. And again, it could have been the time, right? They were kind of everywhere. But here's the thing, smoking in Scientology, far as I can tell, hasn't slowed down since back in my day. So why wouldn't they have the ashtrays? Why wouldn't they? Is it because, here's my speculation, is it because they don't want to promote the fact that so many Scientologists are smoking cigarettes, despite that it's 2024 and we know better? And I know it's a very difficult thing to quit. That's the other thing, right? Smoking is a very, very difficult habit to quit for many. Do you think Scientologists are seeking any type of help or patches or other things to help them quit? No, they're not. They're not. So it makes it even harder to not have a solution to actually quit. So thought that was interesting too, that they're trying to, I think, hide it by doing it in the back alley and not having ashtrays out. Really, they're just being litter bugs. They are. All right, we're going to look at a Windy City THETAN. We're going to look at a few of his clips. This one, he's just going around. He often looks for Scientology recruiters so he can shut them down. But he's walking by and caught a couple of the staff members at lunch. It's real quick. Let's peek.
A couple of cultists out here on the patio having their lunch. Is this our fun Joe Sakala? Howdy. Howdy. You like eating lunch with your cult members over here? A couple of cultists out here on the patio having their lunch. Is this our fun Joe?
It's kind of funny how the the people at the neighboring table are like laughing about it. It's like they knew who they were. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this the other day. Windy City THETAN was outside the Chicago organization, and there was a lot of chalk tech going on there. And the director of special affairs comes out, has a little convo, and executes a bit of water tech on her own. Now, this is a question that comes up often. How can they afford that? How can they afford cigarettes? Staff members have other jobs to support themselves, and it's an expensive habit, but they seem to make it happen. I don't know. But they do have jobs outside of their Scientology jobs or somebody in their family who is supporting them, and that's usually where it comes from. Don Holt, if they don't discourage smoking, why aren't they just smoking inside? Why go outside? I do believe building codes these days do not allow smoking inside. And even though Scientology sees rules and the laws of the land that the rest of us are expected and do generally follow to be more guidelines, this is one that, I think it has to do more with the care of the building, if I'm being honest. To have a building that smells like smoke or have that smoke cause damage, it can leave marks on the walls. Because don't get it twisted, Scientology will protect those buildings more than they will protect the Scientologists. And that's evident in the fact that they are made to smoke outside because they're supposed to, but not given any ashtrays. So that is what I think about that. But Windy City Thetan Watch is outside, and you got to see what this woman does. It's kind of funny. I thought it was funny. Check it out. Let's look at this.
It's the early hours of a crisp Sunday morning, May 5th.
How are you doing?
The city is just waking up.
Are you mocking it?
And there I am, arriving at the imposing gates
Absolutely.
of Scientology's ideal org
No, I'm not a
in
child.
Chicago's historic Printers
Yes,
Row.
it's being video recorded right
My
there as well.
mission? To lay down a message,
Is there anything
a
that's a
truth
hate
in
crime in
chalk
this?
before the day's hustle and
Are
bustle
you
could
going to
erase it.
subvert
I
my
chose
First
this
Amendment
time
right?
deliberately.
So here he's out doing the chalk, and she's out there like, what are you doing?
Before the sun pulled the crowds onto the streets, before anyone could claim I was obstructing the path. My plan was simple and respectful, to sketch out the facts in bold, unmissable letters on the pavement,
It's not a church,
ensuring
it's a
not
cult,
a single
let's be honest.
pedestrian would have to sidestep the truth or, quite literally, me.
So
But
the
even
church
in this
doesn't like
careful
art.
planning, what unfolded next was baffling.
They believe in
Here I
space
was,
fantasy.
giving this
So
cult
we're
all the
prisoners of this
space in the
planet.
world,
76
physically
trillion years ago.
and
That's my bag, thank
metaphorically.
you.
Yet,
76
what
trillion
came
years
next
ago,
from the
Xenu
Chicago
captured all of
police
us
was nothing
and put
short
us
of
on this planet.
bewildering. Their approach, it's the
So yeah, out there with a cup of water, some water tech happening there. Just, I'm just going to pour this right on here. Police are there. The police officer didn't even look like he knew what was up. He's just kind of like, what's happening here? There's chalk. Scientology's a cult. This woman comes out, looks like coffee. It's not, it's water. She pours it on there. What's happening? What's happening? Sue Herman says, no smoking inside lowers fire insurance premiums. That is probably a part of it too. Whoa, I didn't know this. Swedish Lena saying a packet of cigarettes cost us $24 for 20 cigarettes. Oh, wow. You would think that Scientology itself would say, you know what, Scientologists, we know how much money you're wasting on cigarettes. That's money you could be spending on Scientology, on volunteer activities for Scientology. So quit the habit. They're never going to encourage them to do it for their own health. That's just never done. Never done. Now, this next clip we're going to look at from Windy City Thetan in Chicago, it's blurry, but listen to the audio. There is a Scientology staff member, and he is handing out, I do believe it's tickets for a Dianetics film or something. And Windy City Thetan sweeps in, lets the people know what's what. And the guy on the bike even thanks him at the end.
It's the cult of Scientology. Es una secta. Es una secta. It's Scientology. Thank you, sir. It's just money. They're gonna take your money. They're gonna separate you from the family. They're gonna give you the science fiction fantasy about what their religion is. So, do you want those? Thank you.
And there's the Dianetics tickets that he got back. And I don't know if you could hear it. The guy even tells him, thank you for spreading the truth. Something along those lines. Yeah. And Brenda says Liz Gale had chalk that only shows up when water gets applied. That would freak them out if mixed in with regular chalk. Really? Oh my gosh. That only shows up when water gets applied. That is interesting. I didn't even know that such a thing existed. That sounds like magic. That is really cool. Love that. Now, what else is cool is Eric Rader and DAVEY MISMANIGE were out yesterday chalking up the town and putting up flyers. And the really cool thing is they were doing it outside of Scientology buildings, not outside of, but further away from. They were doing it in the town, chalking Scientology is a cult, putting up flyers and having a good time going around together, sharing some stories and talking about Scientology, which really made the stream even more interesting. So let's take a quick peek at this one. This is DAVEY MISMANIGE and Eric Rader.
We're 6 people removed from, the attorney that's going to help us that used to live here or whatever, that now lives in, Arizona, Yuma, Arizona, right? That still has a license in California. Who just whose friend, went through hell in Scientology. Who knows? But
Yeah.
these connections are going to be made, and it's going to be because of stuff we'll never, someone's going to go, yeah, well, I was on Highland, and whatever, and I saw, and then third, and I saw this thing, and I looked it up, and then I saw DOA's thing, and then
Yeah.
then boom, and it's going to be because of this crap. It's not going to be because of anything I wrote at Big Blue. Like, I did that, and I'm okay with it, and I had to do that, and it made sense, at the time. But that's that.
Oh, this is
nonstop
this
people
is
walking.
Yeah, this is a good area
March
to
month.
park.
This is people with money too. They don't even allow you to walk here if you're broke.
So they're hitting up different communities and using chalk and putting up flyers. Let's take a look at some of their work that they were doing there. And the conversation's great too. That's a great thing about having them together, is the stories they shared and what they talked about in regard to Scientology. So check out the chalk tag.
Yeah, I want to see the flyer.
They're just out there putting these up around town. Again, this is away from Scientology buildings. And I think it's a great idea because, I guess Scientology could watch their streams and figure out where they are and go over there and take the stuff down. It's going to take them longer. It's going to take more manpower to do so. One note on the chalk: be sure that you check the rules and the laws about it wherever you are, especially if you're using a chalk that cannot be washed off with water, because in some cities, it's legal because you can wash it away with water easily. So keep that in mind before you go out there using that. Always check the rules and the laws in your area when you're out there protesting. Always good to know what they are. That's my little PSA there for the protesters. If you're out there live streaming, don't be breaking the law. We are not Scientology. Okay, now take a look at this. This is a Scientologist confronts protesters. This is, I do believe, was this out in, I got to look at my notes here. Was this in Austin? Hold on. It was, yep, this is in Austin. This is from a channel, Oh Hell No. And another one, I'm just like, what is Scientology thinking? That, you know what? Let's watch it and then we're going to talk about it. Don Holt, that's right. Breaking the law is not aloha. Neither is calling the cops on me and my family, Wilbur in Hawaii. I see you. That man, now we got to digress because you reminded me of that. When I was in Hawaii and we were protesting, I went with my sister and my daughter. And I love that 2 generations of my family were out there doing it too. And that man, Wilbur, the older Asian gentleman that you saw, he's known us since we were children. I'm talking like 3 and 5, 4 and 6 maybe, but very young. He's been there through everything. And he is the person who made sure that my sister could not attend the funeral of our stepfather when he passed away, solely because her sister, moi, was declared a suppressive person. This funeral wasn't even on the premises of Scientology. They just weren't letting her be there. Absolutely ridiculous, completely ridiculous. But yeah, just a little sidebar there on that. Just to remind everybody about what Scientology does and what Wilbur did there. But still, Wilbur, I would help you get out. There are people even in Hawaii that would help you. There are resources, right? There's the SPTV Foundation as well. You've been in there a long time. I still would welcome you with open arms and help you, even though you were not aloha. So there's that. Okay, back to this clip here. Listen to this, watch this, and watch what how the Scientologist responds to the protester.
Everybody does their own thing.
Gotta love that blank stare smile.
So how long?
Okay, guys, watch this guy. He gets right in their faces, right into the camera, saying things. He actually got into my camera and mouthed, "You're fat." And I'm like, is that the best you can do? Is that all you can do? Watch this. He's getting in, he's fixing to say it. Watch. You're fat. Oh my God. We need to leave Scientology. How many mortgages are on your home? How many credit cards are in your name that you don't know about?
I love that. Not that he says you're fat. That's not the part I love. That is just ridiculous. So it's like, oh, so we're body shaming now. But the fact that her response is, you know, how many mortgages do you have on your house? How many credit cards are in your name that you don't know of? That is a real legit thing. You need not look further than Mike Brown's mom, Rosemary. Mike Brown here on YouTube. If you do not know, go find his channel. He's done a series of videos about elder abuse, sharing his mother Rosemary's story, but it includes Scientology when she was a Sea Org member, getting credit cards in her name and jacking them up for Scientology. Outright financial crimes. We're talking illegal, outright financial crimes in Scientology. This is like a big thing that they do. So I love that she came out with that. And the best he could do is you're fat. Oh, okay. Which, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Kimberly, thank you. Love your recap and channel. Your interview with Jamie Mustard is amazing. I loved it as well. If you guys want to catch that, go back on my channel. It was a great interview with Jamie. I really loved it. I love that conversation, and I'm looking forward to doing something with him again. Julia says body shaming is not okay. Yeah, that's why sometimes I even struggle with short jokes about David Miscavige, because he can't help that. You know, that's his size, right? You can, I don't know. It's hard not to make fun of him for that, but in the back of my head, I do struggle with that a little bit, because I'm like, oh, well, he can't help it. He can't help it. He can help a lot of things if he wanted to, like not being a cult leader and not continuing to perpetuate human rights abuses and human trafficking. That would be something he could control and do something about. Okay, so let's check out. We've looked at a couple of clips from KELLI COPTER was out in London protesting. And this was such a touching moment. And a bunch of you sent this to me. I thought we would share it.
I've been following you guys on YouTube since late last year. Shout out to all you brave. Oh, you make me cry. Sorry. Shout to all you brave people. Sorry. I watched DAVEY this morning.
He got attacked last night, didn't he? Can you tell us what happened?
He was doing his usual, parked up on the Scientology and near their premises. And is this guy with you?
Yeah, he's no worries.
And
I love that too. She's like, is this guy with you? Who's this guy like hanging out over here?
4 thugs. I've been following you guys.
So it's just so touching. All the way in London. I just love, and we know that there's so many of you from all over the world who are following all of this Scientology news, the protest news, getting hip to what's up with Scientology. Yes, Anna, the lady was very sweet. I thought so too. B says many of us feel the same as Marina. I agree. Holy Rogue. Yep, that was really touching. I thought so. And I could tell you guys did too. Now, let's jump over to Perth, Australia with Perth Scientology AUDIT, who gets the law enforcement called on her while protesting. This seems to be a theme in Perth. I don't know if it's an Australia thing, but the Scientologists and staff members there really seem to push this whole, you're on our property when you're not. You know what I'm saying? Is it a thing? Because I don't know. It just seems much more pushback from them when I see these videos out of Perth, out of that area where they're always pushing, this is our area. This is our area. And then the protesters like, no, this is actually public over here. They seem to just know less, it seems, about, what the rules are being in public and all that. I don't know. That definitely seems to be the case. But let's take a look at this.
Free stress test. Sorry? This isn't the property. This bit here, I've talked to the Shire. It's 5.3 meters from the curb in. You can call the police. Yeah, we're just filming the building and then we're going to go back over. So we're doing everything legally. We've spoken to the police. So
Put the camera there so that you can show how far away you are from the road.
yeah, so this is the curb, and we've got 5.2 meters.
Yeah,
So like 1, 2, 3, and she's on the phone. How long did that take for the police to get called? I mean, you could just shut the doors, Anyway, so that was Emily. She's lovely. She is the sister of Ian Rafalco's ex-wife. That's the underground.
So that's over there in Australia. Just they think that, no, it just getting really quick on calling the police there. They must, obviously they're on speed dial. But I love how she's always so calm and like, oh, no, I checked with the police. I know what the rules are. I know what the laws are. No, we're not doing that. We're following what the law is. And I definitely would trust the protesters, not even just because obvious, I would have some type of bias towards them in a positive way, but their willingness to look and find out what the law is, where what Scientology will do will be to try to circumvent it and still do what it is they want. Because you got to remember, these are a group of people, especially in the Sea organization, who, you guys, I have shared this before. When my daughter was in Sea Org boot camp and she decided she didn't want to be there after a week, which I knew would happen, the estate's project force in charge, the person in charge of the Sea Org boot camp, told me on the phone when I said, look, I'm coming to get her. She's a minor. She's not in school, blah, 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 blah. I have a legal right as her mother. And he said that he used the word that now it starts with a W that I know we're not supposed to use anymore because we've come to learn it's offensive outside of Scientology, that they don't have to follow that kind of law. They are above. The Sea Org is above everyday rules and law. That's what he told me on the phone, which then I said, I will be there tomorrow. And I was. I got on a flight from Minnesota, went out there and spent 2 weeks getting my daughter out of there and bringing her back to Minnesota, and somehow did not leave Scientology at that point. It started my wheels turning more of like, whoa. They told me things had changed, things were different, and that it wasn't. It would be another 4 years before I would take actual steps, before I would make the decision to actually leave no matter what was going to happen and do so. So they're not about following the rules or the laws of the land there. We saw this happen in Chicago too at the opening. They violate permits left and right, and nothing gets done about it because it's like, well, we won't do it again. Well, you're not going to have another opening at that same place. You ding dongs. Okay, so let's get into this whole celebrity information. I'd say it's gossip, but it's actually true. Does that still make it gossip? I don't know. Doesn't matter because I am here for it. Aaron, growing up in Scientology, did a video yesterday about Bijou Phillips leaving Scientology. If you do not know, Bijou Phillips is the, I guess now ex-wife or soon to be ex-wife of Danny Masterson, who is in prison serving time for his horrific crimes. But based on other stories we've seen, kind of like living the high life a little bit in prison, or at least as much as that is possible, which really, as what was it? Marilyn says, burns my biscuits. I gotta come up with it, what my own spoils my pineapple. I don't know. You guys help me in the chat. Tell me in the comments. What is the Natalie equivalent of burns my biscuits? I always want to say chaps my ass, but I don't know if, I just seem something more creative is in need. Burns my spam. Jill, that's a good one. Burned my spam. Oh, Don, that's true. Yeah, that's not aloha. Kim says fries my spam. Pickles my pineapple. Oh my God, you guys are the best. Spoils my pineapple. That was another one I just saw. Where'd it go? There it is. Spoils my pineapple. Sours my pineapple. I like that one too. So Bijou Phillips, right? The mother of his daughter, you know, they were getting this divorce, has left Scientology. Let's take a look at this clip from Aaron. We actually are going to look at two of them and then we're going to talk about it because I have thoughts. Big surprise. I have thoughts.
I am going on the record. Bijou has left Scientology. Now, she has not been declared a suppressive person. This is where it gets interesting. And this is where rules are a little flexible for the celebrity Scientologists, especially celebrity Scientologists who have an awful lot of dirt to tell in a book deal they may or may not get. So what am I talking about? Let's take a look at it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. This is Bijou's own Instagram. She posted yesterday a video and a photo of her daughter, Danny Masterson's daughter, born and raised in Scientology, receiving her first Holy Communion. Guys, that means Bijou has left Scientology. I promise you. I am going on the record. Bijou has left Scientology. Now, she has...
Yep. Let me tell you, you don't go around doing that unless you've left Scientology. And that is a clear message as well. And I wish her and her daughter the best, even though part of me is kind of irked about what she knew or didn't know in regards to her husband and her behavior, his behavior. But he was the one convicted of it, not her. But this is a step, at least in the right direction of moving away from Scientology. Now, I have shared with you guys before, when I was leaving Scientology, before we officially left Scientology, we were making plans. It took me 2 years to execute a plan to leave with three generations of my family. And once I knew my mom was on board for that, it became easier after that. But my mom was on operating THETAN level 7. She wasn't actively auditing on it because she had had some health issues, and but she was still on the level. She went and got baptized in a Christian church, and Scientology lost their mind about it. Yet they say, oh, you can practice other religions. Scientology is very complimentary for that. You can be of another belief. Bull. No, in the beginning, maybe, right? In the beginning, when they're first clawing at you to get you in. But after that, no, definitely not somebody on operating THETAN level 7. That was a real blow. In fact, when I was trying to get, this is the second time I was trying to get my daughter away from Scientology, she was specifically sat down and told, your grandmother was baptized into a Christian church and it's not okay. It shows that she has other intentionness, which is a Scientology phrase, I believe, other fish to fry. It was a problem. It was wrong. That's exactly what was being communicated, that it was not okay. Not okay. So yeah, there was that. Now, hold on. Let's take another look at this because I thought this was interesting too. This is another clip from Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology.
And if you're a celebrity and you've got a private life that you want to keep private, would you ever want to associate with someone who is at times subjected to interrogations where they have to tell all of their dirt and all?
So he's talking about, right, like Bijou, if she's not staying in Scientology, that we know of, she has not been declared a suppressive person. Now, would she though want to still associate with people in Scientology who regularly undergo interrogations where they tell their own business and would be telling your business as well? This is not something you could still maintain that relationship and then just not talk about your business. But you got to know that whatever you say to this person when they're in Scientology, you're pretty much saying to Scientology, because there are no secrets for most when you are an active Scientologist on account of all the interrogations that are done. It just goes on and on and on. You do interrogation, so they find out what you said, did, or heard. Then you do the reprogramming to get you back in check, and you pay for all of this. So that's what's up with that. Let's just finish up this clip here.
All of their friends' dirt. Hell no. And if you follow Bijou on Instagram, which I recommend that you do, you will see that she is very much back into the party scene. She is very much back connected up with the Hilton sisters. And you know what? I say more power to her. I say happy Mother's Day, Bijou. The best thing that could have ever happened to you was to leave that human trafficking cult known as Scientology. And if you're a celebrity and you've got a private life that you want to keep private, would you ever want to associate with someone?
No, you would not. Not if you want to keep it private. No, not if you want to keep your business private. Stephen, is reprogramming where they shock you into compliance? Not literally shock, but it is where they reprogram you into compliance. You're showed how what you did or thought was incorrect, and then you're given the Elron Hubbard on it. And the reprogramming, there's multiple steps they can do to reprogram you. They don't call it reprogramming, of course, but now I recognize that that is what it is. They will do that. They'll do whatever it takes to get you back to where you're like, yes, yes, Elron Hubbard, whatever Elron Hubbard says is correct. It is. Yes, yes, yes. I need to handle my body, Thetans. Yes, yes, yes. And then they make you do some type of amends to make up the damage for whatever the lapse is that you had, right? Where you had doubts, or you said something that you shouldn't have, or you watched something, God forbid you watch South Park. That all has to be corrected in Scientology at your own expense. Can we say too, just another sidebar here quick, I'm loving the color. Aaron's been wearing some different color shirts, right? Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the comments. I'm loving it. I was going to ask him about it. Like, what inspired this? This is fabulous. I've been waiting for this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love seeing the color. You guys tell me what you think about it. And while we're chatting about that, we're going to move on to some Clearwater news. Oh my gosh, things are heating up with the city of Clearwater and Scientology, as it should, because Scientology is taking over downtown Clearwater and trying to turn it into something, I don't know, with something that gives North Korea, right? Not that this is it. This is something cool the city did. But if Scientology has their way, this is exactly the kind of stuff that's not going to exist in downtown Clearwater. So check this out. This is in the Tampa Bay Times. Clearwater's new Scientology strategy. No more cloak and dagger dealings. Ooh, for one, that means you're admitting that there were cloak and dagger dealings. So here are the key takeaways from this article. Clearwater leaders are expressing impatience with the Church of Scientology as downtown properties remain empty despite years of discussions with plans to revitalize the area with or without the church's cooperation. City officials are in talks with Pinellas County government to redevelop county buildings into retail and housing, aiming to counter Scientology's dominance in downtown, while also publicly expressing a desire for the church to convert some of its street-level religious offices into public spaces. Now, I saw this firsthand in Clearwater. These street-level offices, they look nice. Nobody's there. The street in front is empty. It is eerie AF completely. Despite ongoing private discussions between city manager Jennifer Poirier, I'm not sure how you say that, and Scientology officials about activating vacant properties, the lack of progress has led to frustration among city council members, prompting calls for more transparency and public dialogue to move forward and revitalizing downtown Clearwater. Okay, this is what I'm reading into this. You guys tell me what you think about it. Sounds to me like the city of Clearwater is saying, all right, we are now going to make public our conversations and the fact that you guys have been promising for years to revitalize these spaces, especially the ones that are at street level, to be more in conjunction with a downtown Clearwater community that draws people in. Instead, Scientology buys up these spaces so nobody else can and has nothing there, or these empty front group offices, right? With still nothing happening and nobody there. It's uncanny. I agree, Susan. About time they do something. Miguel says North Korea, at least they pretend to be happy. Scientologists are grumpy and moody. They're grumpy and moody towards other people, right? But amongst themselves, when you're there doing services at Flag, oh, it needs to be all good indicators because, ooh, here's something you guys might not know. Here's a little tidbit. Lean on in, my friends. In Scientology, when you do Scientology auditing, your auditor has to make a note about your indicators. How do you look? Do you have good indicators? Like, do you have very good indicators where you're like, wow, you know what? That was a great session. Or do you have very, very good indicators? I'm not joking. This is how they write it down. GI is good indicators. VGI, very good indicators. VVGI, very, very good indicators, which I guess would be, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. My mind is blown. Elron Hubbard is a genius. Oh, praise Xenu, praise Xenu, praise Xenu. Okay, maybe not that last part, but you get the point. So bad indicators would be you end in the session like this. I think I might just want to leave Scientology. Oh, my life is so horrible. That would be bad indicators. If you have bad indicators, you have to go back and redo some stuff. I know, big surprise, big surprise. So Scientologists become trained to fake it till you make it. So there's this thing. Oh, this actually makes me feel a little cringe right now talking about this. That's interesting. Let's note that. So when you finish a Scientology session, right? So you know at the Blue Buildings, you're at that Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. You finish your session, right? You end it with, you definitely got to have some at least good indicators. You have to go to what's called the examiner. This is a person sitting in a little room behind an e-meter. You walk into the room. They hand you the cans. They say nothing to you. They're not allowed to say anything to you. You sit down and you hold the cans and you pray to God that your needle is floating, which in Scientology, it's a motion on the meter, which means all is good, all is calm, carry on. All right. You are allowed to say something like, that was the most amazing session I've ever had in my life, or whatever. Or if you sit there and they're like, that'd be bad indicators, and you got to pay to go redo some stuff because it didn't work. You need to go back and get some reprogramming. Sometimes there is a line to get to the examiner. Although, let's be real, probably not today because nobody's in there. There's probably no lines anymore. But back in my day, there would be a line. So you stand in the line with your auditor, whose job it is to make sure nobody talks crap to you and upsets you between leaving your session and going to the examiner. You don't want anybody interfering with your vibe. Because if you're feeling like, okay, I've got some good indicators, I want to maintain my floating needle. It's this whole thing. I got to get to those other cans. Think happy thoughts. So you don't got to go back and redo stuff. But it's really funny to watch people in line for the examiner. Oh my God, this really does make me cringe, you guys. Any of my ex-Scientologists here, tell me, do you guys find this cringe? Getting in line, remembering that? I know I do. And you stand in line and everybody standing in line is like this. Because you got to maintain till you get to the cans. You can't get irritated about the line because that might not make your needle float. And you need your needle to float because if it doesn't, ka-ching, ka-ching, you got to pay more money. Laura Estrada, so are none of you anxious or nervous to move the needle? Well, that's the whole thing. People can get anxious about it and then it backfires and you don't have a floating needle. But yeah, so I find it really interesting because there's this whole culture within Scientology, especially if you're an operating Thetan at those higher levels, to act like your crap doesn't stink. Oh, life is great. I'm out here living my best life. And you know what? Maybe that is true for people in Scientology. I'm not going to say that every single person is absolutely miserable, right? But it gets weird the way that you, especially if you're you're operating THETAN level. That's how I got in trouble for doing strip fitness classes. No stripping, just fitness on a pole, just women, an exercise class. And I got in trouble for that because it wasn't becoming of an OT. That it was one of my biggest buttons in Scientology, was being told that my behavior, thoughts, or what I was saying was not in alignment with how an operating THETAN should be behaving. And honestly, that's part of what drove me out of Scientology too, because it was like, well, wait a minute here. I'm doing this Scientology to gain more freedom, but every single step of the way, all you're doing is putting more rules on me, on what I should think, how I should behave on my own time. That doesn't seem like freedom. No, it doesn't. That really kind of creates a lot of issues for people as they move up those higher levels. But they will pretend that they're cool and they're down with that because they have to. What are they going to do otherwise? You're going to get in trouble from Scientology. Yes, you are. All right, let's look at this. I got something exciting happening today. If everything goes as planned, I am going to be talking with No Nora at 11 a.m. Central Time. We're going to do a live stream together about this when she was at Safe Portland, which was a get-together, a gathering of people to learn about high control groups, how to heal from that, how to spot them, basically cults. Here is a clip from Nora's video about it yesterday.
We went to the first panel, which was the Scientology panel. Now, on the Scientology panel, Michelle Parent was on the panel. Liz was on the panel. She sat next to a gentleman who I'm not going to name because they gave you the options to put on your tag a green or a red sticker. The green sticker meant you can take my picture and publish it. That's fine. The red sticker meant, uh-oh, hot dog, I don't want to be public about what I'm talking about.
I thought that was so cool that they did that, like you had an option that way. So Nora is going to join me. We're jumping on a live stream at 11 a.m. Central Time. That's just in 2 hours. And we're going to talk about this and a bit more. Find out all kinds of stuff about it. Becky says, what machine do they use to determine your mood? I'm menopausal and the hubby needs one. Becky, he can probably tell just from the look on your face. Julia, good point. If you are not free to leave, you are not free. Do you guys remember, too, the question that was asked of Tori Magoo 44 when she was a Scientologist handling the protesters? The question asked of her, I think the guy asked it 3 different times in a very calm, very curious voice, and it stuck with her. And it was something along the lines of, if you're free, why can't you read any book that you want to? And that stuck with her. She talks about it on multiple videos. And I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. That is a good one. That really is a good one. Really a good one. Hey, don't forget, everybody, smash that like button while you're here. Let's make sure we are not, let's see, did we grab some questions? Oh, this is a funny one. How about that pickles my poi? Oh, you guys have got some great ones in there. I am going to have to keep looking at that. Yes, I am. So I already put out a notification, 2 hours going live with Nora. Everything should, like I said, if everything goes as planned, which I think it will. If I ever have to change on a live stream where I've scheduled a notification, I will put something in on the community page. So please keep an eye out for that. But we should be good to go in about 2 hours. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you so much to everybody who's sending me clips, who's sending me links to things and tell me what I'm looking at, what I'm watching for. You can send those things to Natalie at lifeafterocult.com because that really helps me put things together and helps me get a vibe for what has your attention. What are you guys vibing with? What are you finding interesting in this whole world of exposing Scientology here on SPTV? Absolutely. So I want to thank you guys for doing that, for your support here on the channel. It means everything to me and Tony as well. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of your kind emails and words of encouragement. I cannot tell you how much that helps. It truly does. And we're continuing to get the cards and we're loving it. I have a routine now where I grab some quiet time later and sit by my window and listen to nature and read through these cards. And it is becoming a highlight of my day. I love the positivity and cannot thank you guys enough for all of that. And thanks to Nancy for kicking that off and not listening to me. She is wiser than I at times. And I'm learning to just let people go with and run with their good ideas, especially when it comes to helping. I'm trying to let go of that Scientology mentality of, I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to deal with it. I'm not going to get through this on my own. None of us are. So I'm glad that you guys are all here and I appreciate you so much. I will see you in a couple hours. In the meantime, I hope that you all get out there, but don't forget, smash the like button, check your subscribe button, get out there and have the most amazing cult-free day.